Hi there. First, a disclaimer. This is not legal advice. I don't want you to sue me. It's just one musician talking to others about information I picked up through the years that you might find interesting. Today you will see an actual session of me filing an application with the U.S. Copyright Office online. Essentially, this is a how-to-do-it-yourself episode, but some folks opt to hire a service or other professional to do it for them. A copyright is an intellectual property right, and it can have serious value. If folks could freely copy music, films, books, and other works of art that are currently protected by intellectual property rights, we might not have those works of art. There would be no incentive for folks to create them. It's not always about the money, but most people want to be paid for the fruits of their labor. With this in mind, there is potential for you to inaccurately file with the U.S. Copyright Office and not have the protection that comes with accurate registration. You should consider paying an expert to do it for you. I have taken precautions to ensure that what you see in this video episode is accurate as of the time of filming, which is June 2024. But people make mistakes, which is another reason you should consider paying an expert to do it for you. And one last thing, you should consider paying an expert to do it for you. Okay, with many disclaimers done, I feel like I can smile again. However, I will be serious for the rest of this episode because it's a serious topic. For the most part, it's going to be painfully dry, and it's a lengthy episode. If you're watching it many years after the original publication date, there is a high probability that some or all of it may be inaccurate. My plan will be to update with new versions to cover new procedures, processes, or changes by the U.S. Copyright Office. But people get busy, and it may not happen, so be cautious. If you haven't watched my episode entitled, "Do I Need to Copyright My Songs?" you may want to start there first and come back here. The other episode is only about 10 minutes long, contains general copyright information, and I highly recommend it before proceeding here. It will give you background and context that will help this process make a little more sense to you. I know you're already here and you may be thinking, it's okay, I'll just muddle through. Fine, but that's on you. My recommendation is to go back and watch the other episode first. In this episode, I will be registering for a copyright of 10 songs/cues. I actually think it's 1 pop song and 9 cues, but I'll give you more information as we go. All 10 songs/cues are original, unpublished works composed solely by me, and that will make filing for me easier. Here are a few tips. Take your time. Number 2, it's more financially beneficial to you to copyright 10 unpublished works as a group rather than just one. Wait until you have 10 songs or cues and then do it. Number 3, don't get cute with the U.S. Copyright Office. In the other video I recommended that you watch, which is behind me here, I give you some things I suggest you do not do as part of filing your copyright. There is no rush, especially if this is your first time. Once you've done this half a dozen times and you come back to it after 6 months, it's going to be easier. But if this is your first time, and even if it isn't, take your time. Usually it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to go through the entire process. It will take longer in this episode because I will be explaining things as we go. If it takes you 30 minutes, if it takes you an hour, that's fine. If you've taken your time and filed accurately, your copyright will be just as valid as mine. Before I log into the U.S. Copyright Office website, let's take a look at the major steps we will be performing online to get prepared for this online session. First, the U.S. Copyright Office recommends that you use Mozilla Firefox to browse their website. If you use another browser, you may have issues. and I speak from experience. You'll need to start by creating a username and password on the U.S. Copyright Office website. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I've already done it and I can't do it again. If you've ever created an online shopping account at a place like Amazon, it will be easy for you. You can think about this whole process as going to an online shopping site called the U.S. Copyright Office and buying a copyright registration. Add to cart. It's really kind of very much like that. Essentially, it's that kind of process. The site will need some information from you, which you should easily be able to provide. Before you go any further, make sure you have everything you will need. It's possible to get to a certain point in the online registration process and come back later, but it's best to do it all in one session. Here are the things you will need. The names of the authors. If it's just you, that will make it easier. The authorship must be the same for all the songs that you file on any single registration. If the authorship is not the same for all songs, you will need to group them by authorship and file them on separate registrations with separate fees. I think I just made that clear, but I want this to be super easy for you, so here's an example. If your name is Paul McCartney and you wrote 10 songs with a guy named John Lennon, all 10 songs can go on one registration because the authorship is the same for every song. If you wrote 8 songs with John, Ringo wrote 1 song by himself, and George wrote 1 song by himself, you will need to file 3 different registrations. 1 registration for the 8 songs you wrote with John, 1 registration for Ringo's song, and 1 registration for George's song. You will need the year of birth for all the authors. You must provide a mailing address for the copyright registration certificate. If the registration is successful, they will need your address to mail you your certificate. You must provide deposit copies of the songs in an acceptable format for upload to the U.S. Copyright Office. There are several file format options. MP3 files are accepted, so just use them. They are small, so they upload quickly. Have all the files in a dedicated folder on your computer ready to go. I mean just the MP3 song files for this registration. You'll need a credit card so you can pay the registration fee. There are other methods of payment, but I believe this one is best, or at least it is for me. I like the fact that I get my credit card statement and printed right on the statement is U.S. Copyright Office, $85. Now, if not already logged in, you would log into your account, but I'm still explaining the process, so don't log in yet. You will choose the type of registration you need. This is very important, and where people can make mistakes, it's absolutely crucial you get this right. For composers and songwriters, there are essentially 2 primary types of registrations you will be considering. If it's neither of these 2 types of registrations, after I have explained them to you, you're going to need professional help, or you can try to figure it out yourself. Registration type number 1. A performing arts PA registration is for unpublished works and protects the underlying composition. This is the type of registration you want to use if you have composed a song and you want to protect it. It's the type I will be using today. Using this type of registration, you can copyright 10 unpublished works at a cost of $85, which is $8.50 per song. Registration type number 2. A sound recording, SR registration, is to protect performances of a work, not the underlying composition. I explained this type of registration in the other episode I suggested earlier that you should watch, but I'll repeat it here briefly. If you just performed Beethoven's Fifth Symphony live and recorded it, you could use a sound recording SR type of registration to protect it. Beethoven already wrote the symphony about 200 years ago. You can't copyright the underlying composition because he wrote it, but you can protect your performance of it with a copyright. Hopefully that is clear, because it is very important that you get this right. So listen to this section as many times as you have to, and if you're not sure about what you're doing, you should not proceed. You might want to go back and watch the episode I suggested. Using an SR type of registration, you can copyright 20 performances at a cost of $85, which is $4.25 per performance. By the time you watch this video, the prices may have increased. Every once in a while, the US Copyright Office increases the registration fees. When I started decades ago, it was like 20 bucks. And you had to fill out paper forms and send in a cassette. Then that became CDs, and now it's all electronic on the ecosystem. Next, you will go through many screens of entering information. The website is very good at guiding you through the process, and having the information ready, as I have suggested, will help you get it done. On some screens, you can click on a button that will automatically populate some of the information. This will be the case if you are the only author, because the online system already has information about you, like name and address, because it's linked to your password access. You'll also be able to tell how far in the process you are and how much further you still have to go, but don't rush. When you get to the screen that asks you to enter the names of the songs, make sure you enter the names exactly the same as you named the upload files. If the names you enter don't match the names of the files, your registration could fail. Obviously, the file extension is not included in the song name you enter on the site. For example, the song file may be named letitbe.mp3. but you will enter the name as Let It Be. It's okay to have spaces in the name, just like you would if you were to type it or write it on a piece of paper. Payment processing is handled by a third-party vendor, and you'll leave the US Copyright website for a moment while you make payment. Take your time entering the payment information. Once you return back to the US Copyright Office website, you will upload your deposit copies of the song files. It's a two-step process. Think of it as getting the files ready to upload and then pushing that final button to upload them. Because it's a two-step process, this gives you a last opportunity to ensure the files are the correct files and named correctly before you upload them. You'll be guided through the process. Once you have uploaded the files, it may not be clear to you that you are done, but uploading the files is the final step in filing for registration. When I first did it, I didn't know that I was done. I thought it would put up a big banner and maybe some confetti that I was done, but it doesn't do that. If at any time your computer dies or your connection fails, you should be able to log back into the US Copyright Office and pick up just where you left off. You will be sent an email confirmation once you have completed the online filing. Remember, this is only a confirmation that you have filed. The registration review process can take several months. Lately, I find that I get my registration certificates in about 3 months after filing. You should store your registration certificates in a safe place. My process is to scan a copy of the registration certificates to a file and store it in the same folder as the files I uploaded. I then store my physical paper copy certificate in a filing cabinet, but you should do whatever works for you. It's a little nerve-wracking the first time you go through this online process, but once you've done it a few times, it will be easier and go faster the next time. But still, take your time. You may wonder, What happens if one of the song files or Q files I uploaded was wrong, or I made a mistake on something? Truly, I don't know, because I'm very careful and it hasn't been an issue for me yet. But having done similar processes for intellectual property rights, it will probably entail you calling or contacting them via email, or they may even contact you. It's going to be a process you really don't want to have to deal with. If you don't realize you made a mistake until after the registration certificate has been issued, or you need to enforce your rights, such as in an infringement legal action, it's probably going to be even more stressful. But you can hire an attorney to take care of that for you, especially if somebody's infringed you and you have money coming. Also, don't be surprised if it costs you an additional fee or other fees at the U.S. Copyright Office. The U.S. Copyright Office makes money by registering copyrights and charging you for their time. They keep the cost of registration reasonable by making you do all the front-end work. That's typing the information into the electronic system. Back in the day, I was doing it all on paper forms and sending in cassettes and then CDs, and now it's all electronic. Time is money, and if they have to talk with you beyond the electronic system, it may cost you some extra dollars. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to impress upon you the importance of accurate preparation and accurate submission, so it's an easy process for you. Okay, time to log on and get these 10 compositions filed. I'm going to go over to the screen now. Here we are on the registration portal. You can Google this and find it. I'll also put the URL in the description so you can just click on it and go from there, or copy it into your browser. To log in, want to use this dialog here. Log into the Electronic Copyright Office, the ecosystem. So here we go. This is just a warning that we shouldn't misuse the system. Over here we have our access. We have our user ID and our password. And here we are ready to get going. Up at the top over here, we have a few options that we can use. One that might be important to us is My Profile. In there, it'll show my name, my address, some other information about me. If my address were to change, I'd want to go in there and change it in My Profile so that my registration certificates come to the right place. On the left-hand side here, got all kinds of options: open cases, working cases, all cases, my company's cases. If you're a company like Warner Chappell Music that has hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of copyrights, you'd want to be able to search all those cases because you probably have many cases going on at the same time. Down here we have the registration types. Here we have a standard application, but we will not be using that. What we will use is register a group of unpublished works. This is the option we want to use right here. So let's click on that and get this session going. Let's start our registration. So we're going to click right here. This is going to show us our progress as we go. This arrow is going to move down as we go through each screen. So let's take a look. Type of work cannot be changed after you click continue. So this is very important. Let's take a look. Literary work? No. Work of the visual arts? No. Sound recording? No. Work of the performing arts? Yes. Motion picture / AV work? No. Work of the performing arts. 10 unpublished musical works with or without lyrics. And at least one of these musical works that I will be uploading does have lyrics. Lots of other guiding information there that you can read. We have to click this box to confirm that we've read the description. Remember how important I said it is for you to get the right type. Now we can continue. Now we're on our titles. Give the title exactly as it appears on the work, then click Continue. Okay. So we want to put in new titles. So we want to enter the title of the work. Now, what I've done to make my life easier is I've created my list of cues that I'm going to upload, and I have an RTF file, which is kind of like a Word file, just not as sophisticated. It's kind of like a text file. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to move this to the side to another monitor. And now I can copy the song names directly out of here and paste them in. And it'll just make my life easier. At this point, I should have all 10 musical works of art ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's continue. Okay, completion. Provide the year that the authors completed these works. If the authors created these works over an extended period of time, provide the year of completion for the most recent work you wish to register. Even though some of these are from 2022, most of them are from 2023, and 2023 is a later date. Now we're on the authors and claimants. Remember I said that you'd be able to save time if it's just you. Now see, I could say new and add names down here, but I can just do add me. Is this author's contribution a work made for hire? No. There's no organization name. Put in my year of birth. I'm still alive, so there's no date of death. I didn't create these anonymously, so I'm not going to check this box. If the author's pseudonym appears on his works, check this box and enter the author's pseudonym in the name field. So like Prince, or somebody else that has an unusual name that's not their real name. Citizenship, United States. So for this box down here, we got some choices. Unpublished pantomimes. No, they're not pantomimes. Unpublished choreographic works. No, they're not. Unpublished dramatic works. Nope. Unpublished musical works with or without lyrics. And that's what I've chosen. Okay. Continue on. Limitation of claim. So I'm going to go through this. This screen should be used to exclude any pre-existing material from your claim. If these works contain material that has been previously published or material that is in the public domain, briefly identify that pre-existing material in the material excluded space below. It's not appropriate for me, so I can just continue. Rights and permissions. You may provide contact information for a person and/or organization to be contacted regarding copyright management information or permission to use this work. So this would be important. Here I just want to add me, and I can save some time. And there it is. And now I can hit continue. Also, if they needed to contact somebody via correspondence, how would they do it? So we need to give them some address information. And we'll add me again. Mail certificate. This is important. This is the name and address to which the registration certificate should be mailed. So I'm just going to add me once again. This goes pretty fast, as you can see. Click on continue. Special handling. I'd actually forgotten about this, so I'll go through it for you. Special handling is expedited service that is available only to filers who satisfy one or more of the compelling reasons below. Special handling also carries a significant surcharge fee. Everything about intellectual property at government agencies, whether it's the United States Patent and Trademark Office or the Copyright Office, it's all about money for time. If you do not qualify for special handling service, please click the continue button, and that's fine for us. Certification. This is important. They don't want you trying to copyright somebody else's work. Any person who knowingly makes a false representation of a material fact in the application for copyright registration provided for by Section 409 or in any written statement filed in connection with the application shall be fined not more than $2,500. Okay? So, name of the certifying individual. Click on continue. Okay. Please review the entire submission on this screen. If you need to revise any information, return to the appropriate data entry screen to make the revision. When the entire submission is correct, click the Add to Cart button at the top of the screen. This is important because you want to check all this information now, and you can go back to these previous screens by clicking on them. They're hyperlinks. Okay, everything looks great. Let's go ahead and add this to cart. Feel like I've just purchased something. And it's essentially giving me a case number. Now, this case number will appear in the confirmation email that I get, but I'm going to go ahead and write it down because I like to do that. Okay. Now I've got that down. We have the date that I'm doing this. We have how much I'm going to pay. And I'm ready to check out. I'm going to go ahead and click on the checkout here. Pay by deposit account. So if you're Warner Chappell Music or Sony Music, then they probably have a deposit account. So they just keep money on hand so they don't have to keep on pulling out a credit card. But I'm going to have to pay with a credit card. So I'm going to click on this item right here. Do you wish to proceed? Okay. I want to pay with my credit card. Continue. Okay, I have all the information in. And I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to authorize the charge by clicking in this square. So at this point, it's accepted my payment. And I need to continue because I need to submit my work. So I need to select my upload files right here. And this is where having them all in one folder is going to work for us. So we'll select them here. Remember I said it's a two-stage process. Select them here, start the upload. So let's select the upload files. We can select them all at once. We don't have to do it one at a time. Make sure you don't select your text file. So here they all are. Let's go ahead and make sure all 10 are there. 1, 2, 3, 4 to Lighthouse. 5, 6, 7, 8 to Transitory. 9, 10. That looks good. Now we could remove one of these if it was wrong, but we're good. So let's go ahead and start the upload process. And it's pretty quick. And as it uploads them, they're going to disappear and flatten out a little bit. And there we have them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're all uploaded. So how did you do? You probably won't know for a few months. If this was your first time, you may have been nervous, and it was probably a little intense for you. You'll feel a whole lot better once you get your registration certificate in the mail. You should review your registration certificates and make sure they are accurate. Some people take their first one, frame it, or photocopy it and put it up on the wall. I didn't, but it's an option. I can tell you that writing this episode was probably as nerve-wracking for me as it was for you filing with the U.S. Copyright Office. Here's a screenshot of the confirmation email I received. Some of you may have questions, and other viewers may be able to help you. There are service providers out there that will file with the U.S. Copyright Office for you for a fee, plus the registration filing fee. Some charge $99 for their processing fee, plus $85 for the filing fee. That's a total of $184. Most of them essentially have you type the information into forms on their websites, and then they have their program auto-populate the information in the U.S. Copyright Office website. You can cut out the middleman by doing it yourself. You're essentially doing what they would do on the U.S. Copyright website anyway. In some cases, you can call or email them with questions, so that's an advantage. If you can shop online, you should have little trouble doing this yourself. Only you know what your capabilities are. Some people don't like administrative work like this. If that's you, you should probably pay for a service. Hopefully I haven't wasted your time. Take care, and I'll be back in another episode soon.